painful lesson for Meghan from Fergie: throwing royal in the mud for money is the cheapest game. Hello and a very warm welcome back to our LVT News YouTube. Before Meghan and Harry became a thing, before grabbed occasion was even a thought in Meghan's head, there was Sarah, the Duchess of York. She was grasping, she was greedy, she was grubby. She was known as Fergie. Some people think that Diana's entry into the family was when things started to change, when the stiff upper lip of heritage royalty became the trembling lower lip of the new breed. When Diana was lured into a marriage in which she was going to be a breeding machine with a man who was actually still in love with somebody else, the Princess of Wales was just a virginal teenager with a head full of dreams, and of course, this kind of situation would have brought out a reaction from any woman with. Diana was a very hard worker though. And she did have just a little bit of spite in her, that revenge dress. For example, that little quote about the three in this marriage and this stuff stopped her from presenting herself as a victim. Neurosis was actually only a small part of Diana's emotional makeup. She understood that one of the best guarantees of good mental health is helping other people instead of contemplating your navel. Or in Fergie's case, I guess a novel, because it looks like the original ginger royal whiner is back now. She is 63 years old, but apparently she's no wiser if we can judge from a long interview that she gave to The Telegraph to plug a most intriguing lady, which she has co-written with historical romance author Marguerite K. It's a lot of word salad and a lot of PR nonsense. When in doubt, hit your wagon to Queen Elizabeth II would be the first lesson. So it looks like Fergie is trying to make herself seem more credible by associating with the most morally upright monarch of the world has ever witnessed. It's unbelievably important to uphold Her Majesty's legacy. She also says, and although I'm not a member of the royal family anymore, my values are what I believe is right, and that's what they uphold. Her poor son, Prince Andrew, has been going through such a tumultuous time, and I think Her Majesty was very relieved I could help her with him. I mean, the way Fergie talk, she makes Andrew sound like a dog, and actually the late Queen did leave 2 dogs to her, Mook and Sandy. She says, every day I look at Mook and Sandy and want to say, it's alright. Her Majesty used to give them little bits of digestive biscuits. So after lunch now I'll crack up a biscuit for them and deliberately make that same noise. I find it difficult to imagine that even the dumbest dog out there could mistake Fergie for the late Queen. I mean, come on. But don't worry, because next Burgundy starts sharing her favorite quotes from Sydney. She says it's difficult when you're carrying other people's dreams. You have to hold on to the dream that's inside yourself and know if you are true to that, that's really all that matters. And she also quotes Martin Luther King saying, the inaudible language of the heart, doing things for others, has been more therapeutic than anything else. She admits, I am surprised that she didn't add a few lines from the late Rosa Parks to just really hammer home the fact that she is so inclusive and she's such a diverse parole of better people sentiments. If only she could actually live up to these sentiments, but instead he just highlights how meritorious she really is. Fergie, to use a more modern word, is pretty basic. She came from a village called Gummer, and she was never known for being very intelligent or very motivated or really anything special, and really her name should only have been in the papers when she was patched, when she was matched, and when she was dispatched. But instead, Fergie managed to marry the Queen's favorite son for a short 6 years. But we still have not been able to get rid of her yet. Her life has been a complete mess of toe-sucking aids, financial stings and weight management, merging, and all of that is laid by greed. Apparently that is Fergie's guiding. And all the while she insists that she is a strong, independent woman. She is deluded, and her only claim to fame is that for a brief time she played host to some pretty lucky sperm, and so she managed to breed a pair of princesses. But somehow she believes that she's a feminist role model, that people hate her because she's so courageous and dignified. And as with many people in her situation, Fergie's recollections also may vary, and so now she's telling the Telegraph the dream of every little girl is to be a princess, and I was a princess and I loved every minute of it, in spite of the fact that she complained to Oprah back in 1996 that royal life was not a fairy. Even more recently, she did an interview in 2021 with the French magazine Madame Figaro, and she was referring to herself as the most persecuted woman in royal history, but luckily she said the bruised reed that doesn't break my back is in my DNA. She also talked about her ex-husband with whom she was and still is living at Royal Lodge. She said, "I loved him and I still love him today. I will stand by his side because I believe in him. He is a good man." And this is the fascinating thing about a woman who herself is not very fascinating. How exactly did she and Andrew manage to pull off such a harmonious, conscious coupling that they make Paltrow and Martin look like Punch and Judy? Well, as I said before, people always say soulmates, like it's a good thing, but these relationships can easily turn toxic. When he was with co-star Prince Andrew seemed good enough, and when Fergie was with her racing driver beau Paddy McNally, she seems to have been just a happy red-headed party girl, and who doesn't appreciate those? But when they met, it seems like there was some kind of black magic at play. The phrase thick as thieves comes to mind. I mean, let's forget the sexual depravity of Epstein and Maxwell. There is more than a hint of the corrosive codependence of that horrible couple about. Fergie was caught trying to pimp out Andrew when she requested £500,000 from an undercover News of the World reporter. She told the fake sheep Mazarin mood that opens up everything you would ever wish. She said, "I can open any door you want and I will, for you look after me and he'll look after you, you'll get it back tenfold." She went on to say that the $500,000 would be a lick of the spoon for her once again, that greedy and needy thing, which is really not an attractive personality trait. So is she going to be so excited to stand by her ex-man? Now I wonder, as her partner in slime is about to be kicked out of Royal Lodge, 30 rooms, 98 acres of land and a swimming pool, and now he's going to have to go live in Frogmore Cottage, the somewhat smaller place, or make it in Harry's stage. Their early little fits well when it comes to the life of stranger things have happened. Which brings us to the case of the mystery role model. Right before Meghan and Harry's wedding, Meghan's childhood best friend and naughty pretty told the Daily Mail Meghan was always fascinated by the royal family. She wants to be Princess Diana 2.0, but what if it was actually Fergie rather than Diana who inspired the actress the whole time, combining this poor, pitiful me theory with some gimme ways? Now, to be fair, I don't blame hustlers for getting their hustle on in some ways. I actually admire it. Some of my best friends actually are gold diggers and social climbers, but I cannot stand hypocrites. And if you go on and on about altruism and healing, but at the same time you are running after material goods with all the dignity of a tomcat who is getting tasered, then I am afraid you are making a big fool of yourself. Meghan may not be competing with Sarah Ferguson for the title of the most victimized of royal wives, but it may be a good idea for her to take a step back and analyze this Auburn archive of how not to act when you marry into a monarchy. And apparently it was Sarah Ferguson who taught to Meghan how to curtsy, how not to become a laughingstock, though by avoiding the mistakes that have already been made while there's still a little window of carnation-shaped redemption left. Well, that could be an even more